if you're ready to. Welcome to the next stop on your journey from paycheck to pension. If you're ready to take your finances to the next level, you're in the right place. It's time to take control of your future, starting now, and we're doing it live. Hi, we're the Stidhams, and our goal is to help you get self-directed. It's the tax-free income that will shape your legacy. It's wealth, time, and the freedom you deserve. What you're about to learn will enable you to make confident and strategic moves. It means gaining complete control to invest in what you want when you want. We've helped thousands of people just like you. And if they can do it, you can too. So we hope you're ready, because it's about time that your money started working for you. And we're so excited that you chose us to show you how.
Starting right now.
Good evening. Go ahead and do it. I know you're going to do it.
What do you mean?
Starting right now.
You did it for me.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to have a time tonight. We're going to go over the Velocity Banking Worksheet based on popular demand. You guys asked, can we please just have a whole night for the worksheet?
A whole night? That's what's up.
Maybe they
I
didn't
get to
say a
sit
whole
and be
night.
pretty.
Maybe they didn't say a whole night. A live stream of just for the Velocity Banking Worksheet. That's what we're going to do tonight. So,
Perfect. Let's do it.
yes, grab your worksheets, grab your pens, grab your notebooks. It's going to be a time. And Donnell has written a whole example for us on the board tonight. And you know what we were in the chat saying? Your handwriting the last time was
Was
great.
you know why?
It looked cool.
Because it was prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, you did a great job then. So maybe I spoke too soon.
You absolutely did. So here's the thing. I've been working on. I was asked by one of the people that reached out and said, "Hey, could you look at some things for me?" And in the midst of looking at some things, I just this example kind of jumped out. So it's a really simple example. Won't take long, and I'm really just kind of it's kind of I guess I'm working it through in my head. I don't know that it even makes sense. So I'm very
Oh yeah.
curious as to how much feedback I get on whether or not I'm on the right page or not. So I'm very curious. It's a very simple example though.
Yeah, and I should have said it's like an active example, one
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
currently
Kind of
working through.
fleshing it out. Yeah.
And I think this can be a great exercise too, because sometimes we get so caught up in our own numbers that when we get to see somebody else's and we get to see it just, without any emotion, we're not tied to the outcome, we're not tied to the input, and we can assess it in a different way. So I think that would be a great exercise to kind of jump in the chat and share how you might have addressed it differently too. So I think that'd be fun for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And before you kind of
Um,
jump into things, go ahead.
Real quick, am I in the Matrix? Because you sound like you're in the Matrix a little bit.
I don't know how to know if I'm in the matrix. I haven't seen a cat walk by yet.
Well, I don't think you're like looking to them how you're looking to me here on this, but like in the backstage area or whatever.
Hmm.
So if we start getting choppy and whatnot, guys, let us know so you guys don't have to sit through that because that's kind of terrible.
Yeah.
And hey, everyone, Ken over on LinkedIn.
But
See our fam showing up.
so I do want to just real quick, because we may have some new people joining. I had the luxury of presenting to, I think it was maybe about 30, 35 people within real estate investment community, specifically Scott Myers, who teaches people how to invest in self-storage facilities. And I had the luxury of giving them a fire hose of information around how to create self-directed retirement accounts to be able to invest in non-traditional investments like self-storage, to be able to get rid of tenants, toilets, and trash. So I doubt anybody was able to keep up with what I was saying because I think I blew through that thing. It's probably 101 slides. But I want to welcome anyone who kind of came from that event. Happy to have you. And in addition, this coming weekend, I have another event, probably around the same amount of people, 30 to 40 people. But this one is actually a live event. The one Tuesday was a Zoom event. This one, I think I'm in Tempe, Tempe or Scottsdale. with about 30 to 40 people or so. So if any of you will be attending that event, or if you have the opportunity to attend that event, I hope I see you there. So I just wanted to kind of just highlight that. I'm plugging. I just plugged an event.
The plug is plugging tonight.
Tell me about
Okay,
it.
Ken is over here on LinkedIn saying Donnell is such a comedian tonight. He is in a mood, you guys. Even before we get in here, we try to like hop up. It's because, Ken, we can't bring LinkedIn comments on this platform. We're using EVMux. And I like all the other features. It's the only thing I don't like. Come over here to YouTube.
Well, with all of your streaming friends, haven't they told you about a new platform that would allow us to bring in LinkedIn? Like, isn't there
Yeah,
people
but
that already do that?
it doesn't do all the other awesome things.
Oh, okay.
We all like the awesome things, right, guys? We're keeping it. You guys come over here to YouTube. Plus, Ken, there's more people over here. There's the whole fam's over here. So that's where you got to be. Okay.
The plug is real.
Oh, how your program compares to Chris. How do you say his last name?
Chris Nagy. So Chris likes to focus on Chris Noggle or Chris Nagy?
I think it's
Noggle?
Noggle. Yeah. Maybe that's a nickname. Maybe that's their the industry secrets.
So Chris Noggle, I think. I don't know. Anyway, the Chris that I'm thinking you're thinking about, talking about, is he's an infinite banking gentleman. He loves whole life policies and structuring whole life policies to be able to do infinite banking. I'm a big infinite banking fan as well. It's just the product I like to use is a little bit different. So how does this program compare? It depends on what we're talking about. It depends on the goal. If the goal is income, it doesn't compare. If the goal is structure, kind of doesn't compare either. It's really more conceptually, if we're talking about being able to use cash value life insurance products to be able to invest in what you want, when you want, and build wealth, this absolutely compares, and I'll take that challenge any day. So welcome.
Well, I don't know how other people's worksheets compare to mine because I
Nice.
haven't gone
It's nice.
and seen them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you right now, we don't have an actual program, a velocity banking program either, because what we teach is strategy, but we don't actually have a program where other people have, coaching services or monthly, like like they like more like along your journey with you.
Yeah.
We don't offer that. So there's a reason why we don't offer that. And it's just because we have to focus on our lane, right? And we all have a lane out here. There's so many people who are good at these strategies and they may do it in different ways. Of course, we can't control that, how they want to approach this, but that's just something that we can't support right now for sure. But
Yeah,
we do
and
have the consultations and many people have taken advantage.
uh,
Oh, are you frozen?
you are to me, but I am not. I think it's you. I don't think it's me. Someone froze. So welcome back. Um,
I think we both froze that time.
I have no
That
idea.
would be like a double on the bingo card, right? If we
I
both
think you
froze?
win if both freeze. Like
Okay. All
Ken's
right.
gonna have to take over the show if both freeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, look. Ken's over here on
Nice.
YouTube.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Ken. All right. Okay, so now we're unfrozen. We're gonna heat it up. And you want to jump into your example first, or do you want me
No,
to?
no. I think we cover the sheet because I think that's important. But I do want to highlight this. You're right. I don't consider myself a velocity banking guru. Was asked several times this week. Hey, how can I
Oh
hire
man,
you, pay you to assist me on
I
this
might be
journey?
frozen again.
And the truth is you can't. But I do understand velocity banking. I welcome the opportunity to be able to talk through some of those opportunities with you. But I can't step through that journey with you or hold your hand through that journey. Christy Van is great at it. Denzel is great at it, and I will happily introduce them to you to be able to hold your hand through that process. But I'm really more focused on income. I'm really more focused on freeing up that cash flow to be able to put it where you want when you want. So
I'm not with this internet freezing
yeah, I'm with you.
situation. What happens if I change to a different internet right now?
I'd probably lose you and you have to come back. And that's okay. And here's what we can do. If you want to just make sure you get all of that together, we can jump into the example and I will gladly kind of walk things through. You give me the vibe board and we can just figure this thing out.
Okay. Well, you can also control it from your end too if you need to. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what the deal is with this internet, but something's going on. So,
There's a storm out there too, so could be a part of the storm.
okay. So, uh, yeah, let me try to do that. Let me try to just adjust on my end so that they don't have to sit through that. That's terrible. It's
Okay.
not a vibe.
So I
Okay.
think I need to go to studio mode, right?
No, but I'll throw you in for the vibe board.
Perfect. All right. So this example kind of came about. There it is. This example kind of came about in very short time, and it's a really quick example. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for feedback on if my thought process is wrong. I was asked by a lady to just take a look at an opportunity to see where she might be able to free up more cash flow, or her main concern was to get rid of this primary mortgage that she has. See, 64 time horizon is about 3 years. So the thought process is within that 3 year period, want to at least be in a position to where retirement or being able to move on from the job that she's currently in is on the table for good. And her biggest concern is the fact that she's got this $3,000 mortgage that she wants to be able to address. So what I simply just wanted to do was be able to walk through a pretty quick example around how to take some of the equity that she has in not only her primary home, she's also got a couple of rentals. So she's got, I'll call it a strong base, a strong foundation that should allow her to be able to achieve whatever she wants pretty quickly. So I just wanted to kind of take a look and see what that would look like. And so, again, it's my handwriting, so I get it, but it's just, it, my objective was just kind of talk through what this would look like. And so what it is, she's about 64 years old. She wants to retire within the next 3 years. She makes about $120,000 a year right now. Cash flow is about $2,500 a month. And that cash flow includes whatever the cash flow is coming from her rental. She's got two. And also, once all of the bills are paid, she's got this primary residence that I think the home is worth 850. There was some details I had to fudge. The home is worth 350. And the mortgage on it is about $31.25 a month. She's got about $350,000 that was owed on it at about 4.75% interest, and about a $500,000 in equity sitting on the home. So in kind of working backwards and building that amortization schedule, I believe the home was purchased right around 600 and currently owes about 350 on the home, with about, again, $500,000 in equity is where it stands. And in addition to that, she's got a couple of rentals. Rental one has about $200,000, I believe, is what the home is worth. She's got about $160,000 in equity, and the property is currently bringing about $1,650 in income, which is pretty good. And then rental number two has about $220,000. It's worth about $220,000, has about $120,000 in equity, and bringing in about $1,850 in income. Both of these are pretty solid rental properties. I don't know how much of that is true passive income, but in total, still 1650, 1850 is pretty dang good. And so my thought process was this: in assessing all three of these, which one would make more sense to be able to leverage, to be able to do something with? And that something was, how can she reduce that $31.25 a month in mortgage? So my thought process was to simply go after that 500 in equity sitting on the primary residence. There's about, and my thought process was to take about 100,000. So in just doing some simple math, I think it's down here at the bottom. Yep. In doing some simple math, what I decided to do was to take approximately, give me just a minute. Take approximately 100. Where are we at? There we go. Take approximately $100,000 out of that 500,000 that she has in equity on a primary residence, take it in the form of a second position HELOC, and take that 100,000 and drop it into the mortgage, and then recast the mortgage. And the reason I bring this up is because I've had a few conversations this week with people who are concerned about recasting their mortgage. and not fully understanding how that might help. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight that tonight, just mainly for them to be able to understand how this can better work. So moral of the story again: take $100,000 of equity and dump that onto this $350,000 mortgage, and then recast the mortgage. But in order to do that, we have to understand where we live in the amortization schedule. Sweetheart, if you are back, would you mind throwing me over to the HELOC calculator if you're there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. HELOC calculator. Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Okay, there you go.
So, I'm sorry. In actual, I'm on the mortgage calculator. So the thought process is this: the home price is sitting at around $600,000. And I put it in here as a 30-year at about 4.75. And again, I'm not fully confident on the 4.75, but I was able to get around that monthly payment, which she has about 31.25, I believe. So 31.29.88. I figured I was somewhere in the ballpark. So the bottom line is, when I calculate this mortgage, this amortization schedule, if she currently owes $350, so where on the amortization schedule is that $350,000? So as we move down the amortization schedule, let's see, right about there. So we are sitting, I'll make this a little bit bigger. So on the amortization schedule, we are sitting right about here, which is, this is the end of year month 18. So we are within your month 18, sitting at about $350,000 currently on a $600,000 home, which she has about $500,000 of interest. So the thought process is this: taking that $100,000 HELOC, dumping it right here, which means it's going to now drop somewhere onto this amortization schedule. But I don't want to drop the amortization schedule. What I want to do is recast the mortgage for this same place. So roughly, if she's in year 18, so what we're talking about is there's approximately 12 years left on the amortization schedule. So what does it look like when the same mortgage is recast at $100,000 less with about 12 years left on the amortization schedule? So to understand what that looks like, you come here again. I'm going to replace this $600,000 with $250, because again, we took $100,000 in the second position HELOC, dumped it onto the mortgage, which changed the mortgage balance from $350 down to $250. So we're now going to recast this $250,000 mortgage at the same interest rate, but the loan term, instead of 30 years, is actually going to be 12, because we were in year 18. So again, at the same interest rate, what does that look like? So it went from a mortgage payment of $31.25 down to $28.81. So $31.25, $28.81 is about $840 in cash flow that has now increased. Okay, so her main purpose was to reduce that $31.25 payment. Right here in dumping this $100,000 HELOC onto the mortgage payment is now gone from $31.25 to $22.81. Not super great, but it's much better than $31.25. And so, since I'm on this screen or on this side of the board, I will also highlight what that will look like as far as paying off the HELOC. And remember, the HELOC is $100,000. So let's look at the HELOC. It should be sitting right here. So yep, and I've already got it up. So the HELOC is $100,000. The interest rate on that HELOC is 7.75%. So the mortgage is 4.75. She's got a second position HELOC now at 7.75. And here's what I know about the cash flow. Her cash flow right now currently is $2,500. But when I add $844 of extra or additional cash flow from the change in mortgage, and I know I'm moving fast here, but hopefully you're following me. Her original cash flow is $2,500. But when I recast the mortgage and the mortgage amount decreases, that increases her cash flow. How much does it increase? It increased around $840, I think it's $844. So $2,500 plus $844 is where I'm getting this $33.44 in cash flow. And I know it's showing as net income and net expenses of zero. the moral of the story is this is a calculator that only cares about cash flow. The cash flow is 3344. So if I have zero expenses, that means all 3344, which is the cash flow that she currently has, all 34 is going towards paying off this 100,000. How long will it take? Well, we're talking about somewhere right around 34 months. So I'm just going to call that 3 years. So to pay off this $100,000, it will take 3 years. So, sweetheart, if you slide back over to the other side.
My bad. I'll take that off.
No, I actually like Boys to Men, so I'm okay with that.
I just, let's change it up.
I mean, we had a Bobby Brown one, though.
We do. I don't know if we'll get copyright strike if I play that one.
All right.
We'll have to try it and see.
All right. So, okay. So just to kind of get back to where I was, so we got chunk one, which is $100,000 on to this 350. It leaves 250. We recast the mortgage at 250 down to 2281 per month, which means the cash flow is going to increase. And what does the cash flow increase to? Well, 3125, which was the original mortgage payment, minus the 2281 leaves about 844 plus the 2500 that we have. So now, again, the 3344 is the increase in cash flow. So what has just happened in this 3-year period? And this is where I kind of stopped. So I'm kind of finishing this as we talk. So I apologize for my handwriting again. So we are now at the 3-year mark. What has occurred? Well, in 3 years, the $100,000 has been paid back, which means now I have a zero balance on my $100,000 HELOC, which means now I can take that $100,000 and dump it again into the mortgage. Well, after 3 years, where are we on the amortization schedule? So for that, got to slide back over to the mortgage calculator, with or without Boys to Men.
You're there.
Thank you. So it's 3 years later. So again, we started here at 250 and for a period of 12 years, and it's now 3 years later. So 3 years later, where would we end up after that 100,000 on the mortgage calculator after we have paid back the HELOC? Well, I guess I don't want to do that yet. I want to make this larger. So we are sitting somewhere around at the end of 3 years, somewhere around $200,000. So what I'm going to do then is dump another $100,000 onto this, dump another $100,000 from the HELOC onto this $200,000 point, and then recast this mortgage with 9 years left. Because this is again at the end of 3 years. So when I dump this other $100,000 here onto this mortgage, I now have to recast the mortgage from $250,000 down to $200,000. Which once I dump $100,000 onto $200,000, that means the new mortgage balance is $100,000. So $100,000, which is now recast with 9 years left. That is, with 9 years left, same interest rate. And again, this is why we want to recast versus refinance, because we want to keep that mortgage rate. So when we recast this mortgage for $100,000 for the next 9 years, it now drops that mortgage payment from $22.81 down to $11.39. So now we've in 3 years, we've gone from $31.25 down to $11.39 on this primary residence. Her time horizon was 3 years. So I didn't get it paid off in 3 years, but I did get it down to a bit more of a manageable dollar amount. But in addition to that, what happens with the cash flow? So let's see, how do I want to figure that out? Oh, yep. So if you slide over to the other side, we can figure out this cash flow. So
I thought I took it off. I was feeling so confident it's going to be different.
So this 2281 minus 1139, which is the new mortgage payment. So let's do some simple math. That's 4. That's 1. That's 1. So that's 1142 in additional cash flow. And that's, let me make sure I'm doing that right. Yep. And that's in addition to the 3344. So when I add this together, so that's 6, 8, 4, and 4. So her new cash flow is 4486 at the end of 3 years. So when I throw the 4486 into the mortgage calculator to pay off the new $100,000 that has been accumulated, it should no longer be 3 years because I have a new amount of cash flow, 4486. So when I do this, what does that look like? So, okay, it now takes 2 years. Right there. It now takes 2 years to pay off the $100,000. So in a total of 5 years, we've taken this mortgage that was $350,000, $3,100 a month down to now we're sitting at $100,000 at $1,100 a month, and her cash flow has increased from 2,500 up to 4,486. So again, almost $2,000 in cash flow increase in a 5-year span. And again, I don't think I did anything that was challenging or difficult. All we did was take a $100,000 second position HELOC, taking advantage of the equity that she has, and I think have made a considerable dent in what her objective was in a 3-year span. And again, notice I didn't pay the home off, but her goal was to take this burden off her shoulders of having to maintain this $3,000 mortgage. And I believe that's how we do it. And because I'm moving fast through this, what I'm curious about is what you think I might have missed. What is it that I'm not taking into consideration? Because there were some assumptions that I've had to make here as well. But here's the piece that I want to throw. And I want to actually erase the entire slate. And what if she did this instead? Because if the objective was to take care of that burden, I get it. But what if she would have just simply paid off or sold one of those rental properties and taken the amount that she would have made from the rental property and dumped it into a secure compound interest account and placed it in a trust and started a secure compound interest account on one of her children. She has 3 children, 20-year-old, 36-year-old, and a 41-year-old. And my thought process was this: whether we divide it all by 3 and dump a certain dollar amount inside of MPI or not, however it's done, it looks like this at the end. And this is the part that I don't think she's expecting for me to share, but this is the part that I just couldn't get away from. And it looks like this. She's got a property that if she sold it right now, she would get $200,000 out of that property. And $200,000 out of that property on her 36-year-old and allowing that dollar amount to compound till age 65 would produce $387,000 tax-free for life. That's a $200,000 one time, and I just randomly chose $500 a month. Clearly, there's enough cash flow that she could do better than $500 a month, but just simply $500 a month and taking that $200,000 and letting it compound. But I know here's the argument. I'm currently cash flowing, let's call it $20,000 a year out of this rental property. $20,000 a year is significant. So if I sell the property now, I no longer have $20,000 of cash flow.
Right.
Great argument.
Yeah. Do you guys agree with that?
But the question is then, when can I get $20,000 of cash flow out of this? Because I get it. If you allow this to compound, then you're losing that immediate cash flow, and that immediate cash flow is important. So how long would it take before you could take $200,000 as a lump sum, $500 a month, and get $20,000 of cash flow out of this? So let's back this number down. At what point is that? And I think I determined that it was age 40. Yep. So in 4 years, you let this compound 4 years, you are now achieving the exact same cash flow. And if you allow this to mature, and again, my assumption is a trust would own this MPI plan. The trust, so that means when you sell the property and the sale from the property goes back into the trust, then the trust now buys MPI plans, dumps in $200,000, assuming that can be done. Maybe it can't be done on one person, but let's divide this amongst three people equally and allow it to grow for the same period of time. It's still the same 20 grand, however you cut it,
Yeah.
whether it's one person or three, it's still the same $22,000.
Right.
And at this point, you now have a legacy that will allow you to achieve, again, just allowing it to build. Where am I? I go 65. Allowing it to build till age 65, 387,000 for life, a liquid cash value of $3.6 million. Who cares about a $3,100 mortgage payment
Right.
when I've got $3.6 million available to me to do whatever I want? And I know I move fast through this, but what I'm wondering is what I'm missing, because
So
it sounds too simple.
We have a question.
Yes.
Car says, am I missing something? Where is she getting the money to keep paying the original mortgage?
The 3125, and I had that at the top. She makes about $120,000 a year. That's just her income. Her income is $120,000, and her fiance also has income. So I didn't include the income, any of that. All I stated was, I asked her, what is your cash flow? And she told me her cash flow was $2,500. And when I ask you what is your cash flow, what I'm asking is, after your income comes in and all bills and expenses are paid, what's left? And the what's left was $2,500. So all I started this with was the $2,500 that she stated she has. And that's after rental income and after her current income with her job. And again, she has a 3-year horizon. So maybe this pushes that horizon to 4, maybe. But the moral of the story is, just by taking one of those rental properties and dumping it into a vehicle like this far surpasses whatever the interest the income that she was being able to bring in on these rental properties could do. And I addressed that primary residence with my eyes closed. So I'm curious as to what people might think I missed. Go ahead.
Well, we don't have anything in there so far, but here's why I came on, because I had a question. It was why, I guess my question is, why was she more concerned with paying off this home and getting out from underneath this mortgage? Is she's trying to retire, and she's trying to reduce her monthly expenses. She wants. I'm trying to look at this a different way. So walk with me this different way, okay?
I'll hold your hand.
Okay, I'm asking because I'm trying to really understand, which I think I understand from a certain perspective, but everybody thinks differently, right?
Yeah.
When they're approaching their situation, they're thinking about it completely different, which is why sometimes they'll end up going like, here's a straight road, and we end up going on all of these detours, and we end up right back in square one because we think that we must be going north, right? We can't be possibly going in circles. We must be going at least in the direction of our goals, only to find out that we just made one big circle, and now, hey, look, we're back where we started. And that's super frustrating. So how we're thinking and how we're making those decisions, how we're navigating is crucial in this kind of process. So as we're working through this example, before we jump into the calculator, the worksheets calculator, because I think it was great for us to go down this example primarily because we got to see now something in action. So when you go to implement a strategy inside the worksheet, you have your math, you have your tools, and now what will you do? If you focus on, well, gosh, now I can see how I can just drill down this debt, and you go, yep, and in 3 years, I could have this completely down to, for her, it was 100,000,
Yep,
right?
100,000. Yep.
And you freed up all this cash flow, and you're feeling awesome. Like, this is stuff that most people don't even know how to do in the first place. So that feels like winning for sure. However, then you see what else you could have done. And in anybody watching this, it has to be in the back of their mind going, what am I missing?
Right.
Right?
And here's the thing. I encounter this in so many different ways because I believe the issue is the weight of this mortgage, and it's the conditioning part. It's no different when people go, but I've got this $50,000 in student loans. Like, I get it. I should start my I know I should pay myself first. I heard you when you said it. And I know if I
Yeah.
pay myself first, this is what it would look like inside the calculator.
Yeah.
But the student loans, like this 50 grand is heavy. And her issue was, if I am no longer here tomorrow, my kids cannot handle this 3125 mortgage. So I have to get this mortgage out of the way. So God forbid if something were to happen, my family's taken care of, and this isn't a burden that I've now somehow left. Man, it's conditioning. Like, it is difficult to do that 180 degree switch around. You know what? This mortgage will be all right because I've got a vehicle over here that will be able to compensate for whatever that mortgage is if I needed to, right? That's
Right.
hard.
You know what else is hard? Realizing that if you are doing the things to make things better for your kids, if something were to happen to you, you're not educating them on what to do, then it doesn't matter what you did because they are going to be overwhelmed regardless because they don't understand strategy. They think this is too hard to manage anyway. They're either going to hand it over to somebody who's going to mismanage it and take advantage of it, or they're going to end up liquidating it and still not knowing what to do with the money. So if you have just stepped into this wealth building, a debt reduction journey for yourself, if this is your first time around, doesn't matter. If you have kids and they are reaching those teen years, bring them with you. You don't have the time. None of us have the time to wait until we've gone through all the way and to wait until we've learned it all to bring them then bring them in. I think that was the mistake that we started to make. We thought, let's go get educated and then we'll bring them in. The problem was now they're starting later than they could have. And sometimes what we're missing is that they get to contribute too, right? You get to see how their minds work and they get to have some stake in what it is that you're building too. Right. So I don't want that to get missed on anybody. We do have some questions though. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. What if the rate of return is low? The 20K, well, what if the rate of return is low? So I think she's talking about, or
MPI, or are we talking
yeah,
about?
I think, and
Like,
then
what
she
if the
said,
market crashed, like it did in 2022? Is that what we're talking about?
yeah, I think they mean also like, what's the worst case scenario with the MPI?
Yeah. So worst case scenario is, and you have to understand where the risk is. And, in order for me to answer this question fully, I have to kind of go into the weeds to help you understand where the risk is. Because I can't just say, hey, the calculator will be all right or you'll be okay. Where is the risk located in this process? The risk is located in the purchase of the call option inside of the growth of the general fund, which is, again, I can't surfacely answer this. Here's what I would say. There is risk. But the goal is to minimize that risk, which is what this process does. A secure compound interest account, what this does is your money is secure, meaning it's backed by the life insurance company, and there's a 0% floor, which says there's a contractual guarantee that the money that you've put into this product and the growth on the money in this product can't be lost due to market risk. But there is some market risk associated with purchasing the call option. So what are the odds of that call option not doing well? Well, what that would cause, or what that would mean, is that year your money wouldn't grow. You wouldn't lose money, but you wouldn't make money. And if you look at the data over time, the average growth is right around 7%. If you look at the last 35 years, that average growth is right around 7.2%. So all in all, the average is right around 7%. What are the odds of 10 years of zero growth? Well, I would call that Armageddon, and we've never experienced it. The max that we've experienced is 3 consecutive years, and that was the Great Depression. The dot-com bubble, I think, was about 3 years as well, and I believe the 2008 situation was about 18 months. So the worst case scenario would be the Depression. And here's what I know about this process just based off data. What I know is this MPI process can handle roughly 5 to 6 consecutive down markets, which says this process can handle up to at least 2 Great Depressions. which means it's not great, it's not perfect. But my only argument is show me one tool that you're using to build wealth, whether it's the IRA or 401k or real estate. Show me one that can handle one Great Depression. But at a minimum, this process can handle, based off the data, two. So worst case scenario is you won't make money in that year that the market crashed, but you won't lose money either. I would say that's the worst case scenario. And this calculator is meant to under promise, but over deliver. So if you look at the actual performance of people during this time period, they're actually making more than what the calculator is stating, because the calculator takes into consideration those downfalls as well.
Yeah, and they're regulating what people can and can't give as examples for these types of things too, so that you can't, they're at least they're not supposed to. And of course, we don't get to make up the numbers because we use this calculator that is approved, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of activity, we had to go through in order to be able to have a calculator like this was pretty stringent. So
yeah, we got some really good comments here. But we have a question, so let me just go through this because they were kind of already in a line. So Johnson says, what do I have to do to get ready before I schedule my appointment with Donnell? I know I have to be sure of my goal.
I think that's the key. I get all types. I get conversations that start out like a velocity banking discussion, but they end up being about retirement planning. And I have conversations that start out talking about MPI, and it ends up ending in a annuity. So I would say, what is your goal? And I think that's the start. And as you're thinking about what your goal is, think about what's the gap. Meaning, if you were thrust into the position where you are retiring today, or you are ready to hit your goal today, meaning you are at that finish line, what vehicles do you have to help you get there? And based off the vehicles that you have, your IRA, your 401k, your real estate, your side hustles, whatever they are, when you pool all those together and you are now at retirement age, is there a gap? And if there's a gap, how much is it? Because what I will do is I will take that gap and we will just back into it. What vehicle do we need to put in place right now to close the gap? And I think that's the easiest. So understanding your goal and also understanding your gap. There we go. Just came up with that now.
Well, but you do. That's a pretty typical part of your conversation, though, is when you ask people the goal and then you say, okay, well, where are you?
Yeah,
right.
Where are you right now?
Yep.
Magic wand.
Yep. And this part right here, Car, most women think security first. I think men think security first too. I think everybody needs security.
Right.
I don't think you're wrong.
I am too old for market risk.
Right.
I am 100% focused on security.
But when I was asking the question of like, why was she so focused on this part? Like, why was this particularly a priority for her? And we were trying to figure out like the way that people think, right?
Yeah. And I think it's that burden of expense and debt that we all have been conditioned to carry, right? We focus on getting that weight off before we focus on ourselves. We don't pay ourselves first. We pay our debt first. And then once we pay our debt, everything that's left over, YOLO, right? Then I go on my vacations, and then whatever's left over I have for me. And we need to flip that around 180 degrees. Pay yourself first.
Right.
My apologies for monopolizing, because I know you want to get into the sheet.
We are going to jump into the sheet. It won't take as long though, so this is good. We'll get some questions in. Is there a formula for how much of the HELOC you should use? Is there an ideal ratio, or do you just use it all to chunk down?
And I wouldn't call this my lane. I'll tell you who I got this from. I got this from Denzel. Denzel Rodriguez, I want to say his number has always been like 66%. So whatever your debt tool is, you should not exceed more than 66%. He probably explains why that is. I can't tell you why, but that logically makes sense to me, because if something were to happen, I have some buffer, I have some room to be able to assist me in recovery. So I just have always used that 66% because he told me to.
Well, and it works. And there is risk though, to Car's point about security. Reducing risk And mitigating risk means you have a ton of risk and you're having to then go and assess and always be on the lookout for where your risk is. But reducing the risk, are moves and actions that you're taking that you don't have to mitigate the risk anymore because you're putting yourself in a position that already has less risk. That's really where we all should be moving to. But unfortunately, the conversations that are traditional tools and the conversations had around those are about mitigating risk. It's saying, hey, everything out here is a red flag. Just everything out here is going to just burst into flames at some point. And you just got to go around looking for the smoke. You just have to go around smelling and seeing and feeling and touching and just kind of trying to estimate if this is going to catch fire or not, and if you can afford for it to or not. So we're going to give you some tips on how to put yourself out if you catch fire. We're going to give you some. Isn't this
stop, drop, and roll?
Yeah, isn't this the analogy though? Essentially,
right. No doubt.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? If you want to upgrade to some flame retardant pajamas, that way you can sleep better knowing that everything might catch fire, but at least you have the flame resistant pajamas. Or we can just start talking about how do we not have everything just burst into flames all the time.
Solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so Gina, I like this comment. She says, my 10-year-old heard me listening to you guys in the car today, and he said, is that about your retirement? And I said, yes, and it's about yours too.
Amen.
That's
Amen.
dope.
Each one
I love
teach
that.
one.
Yeah. Okay, Valerie says, what if, if she sold both rental properties and dumped the profit into a SKIA, if anything happened to her prematurely, wouldn't the life insurance be enough to pay off the primary mortgage? That's what's up, Valerie.
Short answer, yes. Depends on who the life insurance policy is on. So she is 64. So does it make sense for there to be a life insurance policy on her? We can make that argument. We can talk to ad nauseum around that. I would suggest more maybe a term policy on her, and again, structure this such that we max fund those 3 kids and grandkids and roll them into a trust. But I do see the value of the properties. Like, don't get me wrong. That residual income is pretty awesome. All I was just sharing was if you liquidate one, there's a huge opportunity there. I agree with you. You liquidate both of them. Like, what could that do for you? I think if we just simply do the math and multiply it times 2, we're talking $40,000 of income at year 4 compared to 20. So I think you're right. I think you're absolutely spot on with that.
Yeah. No, I'm loving all these comments too. Okay, so we got someone wanting to jump into the calculator, and we got some other questions around. Just some of them are MPI questions, some of them Velocity Banking questions, I think, and then some really great comments. What I would like to make sure we have time to do though is to go through the Velocity Banking worksheet. Is that okay? Okay.
You asking me? Let's do it.
Yeah, if they want to stay and talk about MPI, that's really good. I'll be fast because it really doesn't take that long. Okay. It really won't take that long.
Got my vote.
All right, let me just get it set up. All right, here we go. You can see me now, right?
Doom doom da da. No, we're not doing that this time.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it.
All right, here we go. Here we are. All right. So step 1, I just want to put this out there. We get a lot of people who are requesting, by the way, access to the sheet. And step 1 of this process, down here at the bottom is a tab that says how to use the worksheets. So when you go in there, you guys have probably already seen this first. And important, I put it in red. Step 1 is go to File and then make a copy. Okay, so this is the first thing you do, and I want to just make sure everyone sees this process because I think they jump in and then they go try to put their numbers in. They get excited and they go, "Oh, you can't because you can't in this version or." Okay, go away. you can in this version, or everybody would be competing with their numbers, right? And overwriting each other's numbers. So this is how you make the copy. So then what we would prefer that you do is instead of copy of, then you just put your name right here in this space so that we know that it's you. That way when you call in for your consultation, then you share it with us here on Google Sheets, makes it easier for us to know whose workbook is whose, okay? This right here is probably another important thing to note. This copy comments, you don't have to share it with the same people. That's not important. It's going to go into your drive then. You want to copy the comments though, especially if you're really unfamiliar with this process, because down here at the bottom you can see little numbers. This is the amount of comments that I've left for you. They're like little notes. So here's the summary page, which is kind of like the afterthought. After you've put everything in, then it populates into this summary. Let me see if you guys can see it, right? You guys can see it pretty good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trying to make it bigger?
Yeah, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's better. All right. Beautiful. Okay, all better. Okay, so this just kind of gives you like at a glance a nice summary snapshot of where you are. Now, some people said, what is this 70-20-10? Do you want to explain that, Donnell?
So the thought process around 70-20-10 is really around, it goes back to the concept of paying yourself first. Well, when you pay yourself first, pay yourself what first? I usually start with 10%. If you are between the ages, I'll say of 15 to maybe 40, maybe 35, I think 10% is a sufficient dollar amount of your income to be able to put that away, to be able to achieve, I'll call it sufficient growth over time. If you're 40 to 60 or 60 plus, probably needs to look more like 20% of your income. So that 10% is really what should I be putting away? And if you can start with 10% of your income, you can put yourself in a position to really, start to achieve a significant amount of income. And if you can teach yourself how to live off 10% less, meaning teach yourself how to live off 90%, 70% going towards bills and expenses, and the other 20% going towards your debts, or whatever the case may be. And also within that 20% is any entertainment or travel or anything like that. But as those debts start to get addressed, your cash flow starts to increase. And as your cash flow starts to increase, that should allow you to then transition that 10% that you're using to pay yourself first with maybe to more like 20%. And again, the whole point is for this to transition to just expenses and what's going into your secure compound interest account, or what are you using to pay yourself first? And then eventually you start living off the pay yourself first part. So that's what that means.
Am I back?
You are back.
Bruh.
Okay, I hate this part of this stream. We've not had this before, so maybe they'll hang in here with us just this one time. Okay, these are the notes. When you hover over, you'll see me pop up. There I am. And I kind of just explain what the cell does. When you're done, you got it. Hey, I don't need the note anymore. You can just click this little check mark and it'll go away because it's like resolved now. Or you can opt out of them altogether. That's totally up to you. But I put them there to make this more of a walkthrough experience. But if you don't copy the comments over, they don't come over unless you choose that step in the beginning. Okay, so the starting balance is important. So let's say your balance, and I have an example I'm gonna show you in just a second. This is never gonna change. You manually put this in, and that was the point, is that you can see all of your progress, right? So this number just stays there. This is where you started. This is the before, right? And then we're working on the after. So all of these inputs here correlate to the sheets here at the bottom. So the income tab, where you put your income. The assets tab, where you put your assets. Now we're going to switch over because instead of you seeing this example, I'm going to show you an example that does have somebody's stuff in there. And I remove the name so so you can't tell who it is. But this is essentially what they were working with, right? So now we have the starting balance. Now we know what their cash flow is. This is just how things are beginning for them. And this is essentially what you would bring to the table. So to answer the question of, do you want know your goal, right? And then also you got to know your numbers. And this will help you start to identify even where things are being paid from. So this is how much is being paid from credit card. This is how much is coming out of their checking account, right? So however you categorize this, it's going to matter how you put it in. So this is why that this part's important. Your income, if it's your working income or other income, so you can customize this too. And I went over that in the kind of the explainer video. But these assets, I think where you think your assets are versus what are actually assets. A lot of people put their mortgage in the debt section, but it's not just a debt, right? It's also an asset. So we want to keep assets all together here. So definitely don't put your mortgage on the debt. So assets here, but we need to know where everything's going. And then on the so your category, I put a lot of options here because a lot of people have different things, right? You can also customize these. And then we need to know where you're paying it from currently. How is this getting paid? Most of the assets are getting paid directly from a paycheck, yeah, or from your checking account. And then your expenses. So what do those look like? And then this is getting cut off. Can you see it all now? Okay. The category, and the reason why that's important is because over here on the summary tab, your expenses, they all start to add up in total here for you, but it really just depends on how you categorize them here.
So are you on the expenses? Because I'm still looking at the assets tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least the screen that I'm seeing is still showing the assets tab.
Oh, it's not been showing this new thing.
There we go.
Such a rookie at this. Okay, let's go back. How to use the worksheets. First of all, put the right freaking worksheet up on the screen for people. That way they can see it. Okay, the summary tab. Back to this example. Now
See, if
you
were
guys.
on the vibe board, you'd be good though, because you're dope on the vibe board.
Yeah. Well, thanks. But did I seem frozen until now?
You good?
Okay, you were just watching me go through tabs ghostly. These are the categories and where they would populate here. So what I was trying to explain before was that here's where the bills are paid. It tallies up here, and that's why we need you to input that part. And it's really not for us, it's for you. So you can see how much of your credit limits are being utilized, or what is and can or cannot be paid by a credit card in general, so that you can put a Velocity Banking strategy into action. So the income, you can see this all now, right?
Yes.
I feel like I have to repeat it all because you couldn't see it before. Okay, just hang in here with me. I'm almost done, guys. You can, if you have like a passive income sources or other income streams, you can obviously customize this here too. Okay, assets. I said that. Put your mortgage on the assets page, and make sure it's a category. Make sure the value's in there. Try to get it's not down to the cents. That part doesn't really matter as much. It's making sure that there's values in the columns so that it can give what it needs to give. Okay, it can do all the things to connect it. I know why you're laughing at me, because it's the same thing I was trying to explain stuff to Justin earlier.
Abort! Abort!
And I was like, it's all in my head. It's just trying to come out too fast. Hold on, I'm getting there.
Hey, Colleen told me to stop laughing, but I love you to death, and I'm sorry. It's funny to me.
Yeah, it's fine. This is why you guys do calls with him, though, because otherwise you don't want to go through a call like this. Me just going, hey, can you put your categories in? Because that's what we really need your categories in. Okay, I don't think this one's going to work for right now. How is it getting paid? Okay, we're back in the game. All right, expenses tab. Same thing here. You can customize these categories if you want to. And again, they populate here. So if you wanted to change a name of something and you wanted to put, I think here, you just wanted to make that miscellaneous because you don't have any pets, you could do that. If you wanted this to be entertainment or movies or, whatever category you needed it to be, you can do that here. And if you want to add a category, this is not a how to use Google Sheets tutorial. So that's not what we're going to do because I don't want to get into the weeds there. But you can just insert cells and shift down if you wanted to. And then you could copy so that the formulas all populate. Because notice up here, that's why it's so important. All this is the magic. This does the stuff. Yeah, this does the stuff. I'm super technical with my tutorials. It does the stuff and the things to make it all work, okay? So you need those formulas and pay attention to if you're trying to make adjustments. Is there a formula up there? If there is, don't do it. There it is. And okay, so assets, expenses, and then we have debts. And this is usually pretty filled up for most people. And you go through and you're just going to fill in yours, whatever the name is, the card or the bank or whatever the account name is, so that it's easy for you to reference the balance. And then we also need the limit. And the reason why we need the limit is so that we can see what your utilization is. And that'll populate on the summary tab as well. Now, of course, there's the category. What type of debt is it? What is your interest rate? And then we can go through what is the status. Now, when you've paid something off, there are other cells that do other things. And it'll say, how much debt have you crushed? Then it'll take it into the summary page and it'll populate here once you start to do that. If you select that it's been paid off. Okay, so this is for you to keep this updated essentially, but this will be fun because now you get to watch the numbers and watch the graphs move in real time when you start to make those changes. Now, when you pick something as your debt tool, which Donnell usually helps people when you are on the calls with them, like what is their best debt tool if they're struggling to understand where their leverage is, right?
Right.
Once you pick this debt tool, then it will populate here on this side. So this is the debt tools section. And I just put it on the same sheet so that you can easily reference and you don't have to switch back and forth between sheets. So now you can see it's all on the same sheet. So you can see this information. Now, some people say, Angelique, why couldn't you just have the income populate? Because you know what my income is. Well, it's because you can't always use all of your income into the Velocity Banking situation. Not everything can be paid with your debt tool, right? So that's why. Let's see, what else? So then you'd go in and you'd put your living expenses in. So whatever is going to happen on your debt tool. Let me come back so I can see everybody. I can't see anybody. So I can see everybody seeing me. That's probably the better way to say it. This is only for the debt tool. So this is your plan on how you're going to utilize the debt tool, right? And this is step by step, month by month, what action is going to happen, right? So for the example that you just went over, Donnell, she was chunking away. So there might be a chunk that she had put in the beginning, right?
Right.
So if this were her debt tool, like her HELOC, for instance, right? And there's going to be a chunk, she can enter that amount here and then say what in the description, what that is. And now this will automatically calculate. So let's just say we're doing a chunk. We're just going to put $500. See, it changed here. So then we're going to do the income again. And the income is going on to the debt tool. So we're put a negative in front of it so that it'll work right. Okay, because that's how you have to do it. And then we're going to do 1353 again. And let's say whatever the number is. So we're going to do another chunk here. Don't pay attention right now to the fact that this balance is, none of this stuff is working because I'm just showing you how it works, that these things populate. You're going to put your numbers in here so that it makes sense, right? Okay, no, I can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see it. I was trying to help.
Okay, here's the point. Let me just get to the point because they have made this so hard to screen share on here. And I have a plan to do a more comprehensive video about the worksheets. First, we just had to make sure that they worked right. So that was part of the problem, was that some of the cells, when I was testing it through, some of them broke. And by the time other people had made their own copies, and I did not catch that. So thanks to all of you, we've been able to really to fix a lot of that. The point is that once you are putting your information in here, and now you can see your plan, then you can actually see it go happening in real time. So we use this same type of graph, and you'll recognize this from other examples that we use, and then you'll be able to see how it works here.
Right.
So
As the income goes in and the debt is paid, it starts out at meaning on the debt tool, when you put your income in, it's showing at a lower point on the debt tool. But then as the expenses are paid, it then goes back up onto the scale. And then it's that accordion approach to how that debt is actually being addressed and the amount of time it is taking for it to be able to go to zero. And I think that what that also does is it allows you to understand how soon or when you can make your next chunk. I think that's the piece that I don't think it's spelled out here in words, but the truth is, as you're watching that debt tool as you're watching the income go in and the amount of the balance left or the limit or the equity on whatever the debt tool is being used, as it continues to increase, that tells you how much more of a chunk you're able to make in your next go around. So maybe you're not waiting for it to go to zero. Maybe you're waiting for it to go to half of whatever that limit would be, and then you take that dollar amount and you chunk it back on. Or to that person's question before, that's 66%. I'm waiting it to get back down to 66%, then I'll make my next chunk. So I think that's what's pretty awesome about that part of the process.
Yep. So I think once you get your numbers in here, you're going to see, I should have brought up the one I did for the video that I put together. I couldn't even find which one I used because I've been renaming them all kinds of different things. But we wanted to jump out here, and this week has been a week, y'all. So, and to be able to show you guys what this looks like, there's many of you that are not on Facebook, but if you are in Facebook, you would have gotten a lot more support there. Let's see, who was it that was asking me? Greg. Yes. Greg is asking, how can I get help with my worksheet? And I think if you're wanting help with the worksheet, we should probably set up so that everybody could ask questions and we can go through it together, like how to make that plan. Now, here's the deal. I thought I had done this brilliant thing with ChatGPT, and I had this prompt, and it was working for like 2 weeks. It was working beautifully. But if you're not familiar with how to use ChatGPT, I was going to go and cover all of that, but me telling you that it would work, and then you go in there and you're just trying to put the prompts in the way that I did, because I tried to repeat it 5 solid times today even, and it wouldn't do it 5 times, even with the same prompt and a whole new chat. So that's just ChatGPT, and it's just not being consistent right now. So I don't want to set you guys up to expect something that may not come about. However, I will say, if you are experienced with ChatGPT, then you would probably know how to ask it questions and have those conversations. And then what you can say is, show me what this would look like 12 months and help me pick my debt tool. So Greg, to your point, in going over what the debt tools are, have even I personally like being able to throw the numbers in there and then ask questions about it. So what does my cash flow look like at month 18, right? Those types of things that I don't have to sit here and continue to do the math and input it all. It will come up with that for you. And that's why I had this tab here, because then you would just paste it in here based off of the prompt. And then you would be able to see, because this column here was the example that I had used for the video, and that's essentially what it was. Every decision that you're making, whatever it is that you're doing, you're chunking, you're paying off other things, whatever it is, every single month your balance goes in, and this is your plan. If you're using ChatGPT, if not, then you can just use this. And I've given you guys plenty of spaces down here, so you can plan out the next 2 years for sure, right? 2.5 years, just to be able to see what your plan looks like. However, I will say, I don't know if we have questions about the worksheet. If you have a question about the worksheet, put Q in the front. Otherwise, I have to read all of the comments, and it makes it harder for me. Sorry, guys. Let me remove this. Okay, so if you're focused on the debt reduction, this is the most important piece, is getting super caught up in reducing the debt, crushing the debt, getting hyper focused, because you can see it moving down and it becomes extremely rewarding. Sometimes it's paralyzing to your process because you're not looking at where your wealth building journey. And we've done this 100,000 times. We've said it. Like, turn to your neighbor and tell them Velocity Banking is not a wealth building strategy, because it's not. Yeah. It's an awesome tool to reduce debt, rapidly reduce debt, but it is absolutely not a wealth building strategy. And that is why it's important to understand what your options are. And the second you start making that flow, let it work for you. Let some work for you in reducing the debt. We're not saying stay in debt. What we're saying is you could be building wealth faster than you could be crushing debt.
Right.
And it's not this or that.
Right. I agree. And, as it relates to, because I had this conversation earlier today as well around, what action should be taken first and when, and pay yourself first. And it was a large conversation around the weight of debt. And I tend to minimize things, and I understand the weight that debt carries on you, on me, on all of us. But at the end of the day, it is still about paying yourself first, putting your money in position so that it can work for you. That's the key.
I'm reading these comments, and you guys were super kind and patient with me. Thank you so much. Okay. Do you have, Greg would like to know, can you go over debt tools? So do you want to talk about the different kinds of debt tools? Because another question was, if you were doing Velocity Banking when applying for a HELOC or PLOC, is it wise to apply with the bank that houses your mortgage?
So I'll address that one first. And here's what I like
Okay.
about that question. If I think I understand it correctly, I like pitting banks against each other. And I've said this many times: banks, financial institutions, financial advisors, life insurance companies, none of them are your friend. So we should leverage them the same way they've been leveraging us. So I love reaching out to the bank that has most of my stuff and asking them a question, and then going right across the street, asking the same question to another bank, and then coming back to my favorite bank and saying, hey, the people across the street said this. Can you match? Can you beat it? Because I understand. I know you want my time. I know you want my money. I know you want my loyalty. But is there anything that you're willing to do to keep it? So I am a big fan of just pitting banks against each other and letting them hash it out. So,
But also know what you're going into, because walking in and asking a bank one thing, ask 3 people, especially if it's a new bank.
right, right. Because again, they are designed, or their job is to sell you products. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you're walking in there asking for a product that maybe they don't even know that they offer. So yeah, sometimes you have to kind of weed through the person at the front who was just giving a list, so that you can get to the person that's been there 10, 15 years that goes, oh yeah, we absolutely offer this. It's just that the person up at the front has been here a couple of years and doesn't know that. So
Yep. Or nobody in the office knows, and they're going to tell you that they don't offer it because nobody knows.
And argue
That's,
with you about it.
yeah, and that's super unfortunate. I hate that for everyone. Okay, let's just for a second, and thank you guys for all of the support in the comments. Let's do this.
I thought there was something for the calculator too. So if we needed a,
I cannot keep, yeah, I got to figure this whole desk situation out ASAP because I can't keep sharing back and forth like this. This is annoying. All right, guys. Gonna do it. It's gonna be fun after I sit here and be frustrated for 5 minutes. It's gonna be a great time. Oh, okay, now I gotta share this tab instead. Boom. Okay, look, we made it. Here we go. We're going to pick a winner for the boat. If you guys remember why we give these boats away, it is extremely important to know about the boat when you're on your velocity banking journey, because a lot of people start with velocity banking and then they go into a wealth building journey, and then they can leverage other tactics and strategies like infinite banking, right? But it's the concept of, will it make the boat go faster? It's asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now, is it going to make the boat go faster? Is it going to help me achieve my goals? And asking yourself in even the smallest moments, that part to me is powerful. If you want me to run the story again, I absolutely will. But for those who are new to this, it was a British rowing team in 1998. They had come in seventh. They never won. They really wanted to win. They figured, why can't we win? What are the chances of everybody else winning all the time and we're not winning? So they decided to unite under this one question. And when they did, it was everything from what they were eating to where they were spending their time, as much as it was how they were training and putting the position they were putting themselves into. And so, will it make the boat go faster was the question that they asked themselves. And as a result, they won the Olympics because everything that they did aligned with that goal. And that was super inspiring. And I mean, we're honestly, as you guys have been here and supporting me and knowing that some of you understand my issues with eyesight and what my journey has been, but my eyesight has been reducing. I've been losing my eyesight for the past 3 years now. 3 years?
around that.
Well, a little bit more because I haven't been driving for like 3 years, right?
That's around when it started.
Yeah. And I have challenges all the time. And I promise you, I would have given up if I did not keep asking myself, will it make the boat go faster? If I wasn't pushing myself to go, giving up is not a solution, girl. You have to go out there and figure this stuff out. Is because it's hard to see on a screen, you don't want to do it today? Or you go, and if you don't find a solution, it's going to continue being harder and it's not going to make the boat go faster, right? And so keep going and keep pushing and keep looking for solutions. And I hope this inspires all of you. And I'm sure you guys have some stories that are probably just equally inspiring in what you've overcome or been achieving through your struggles and your journey. We have to keep each other inspired in this way because there are way too many people who are just waiting for us to fail so that they can win. Because for them, it's this or that. It's you win or they win. And that's not how it has to be.
Absolutely. And that's the meaning behind what's your goal. Because when you tell me what your goal is, and I'm throwing back your words at you when you said this was your goal, it is, what is the solution to help? I mean, will this make the boat go faster? Meaning, will paying off this student loan help you hit that goal? Will this make the boat go faster? Will paying off your mortgage help you get to your goal of wealth for your legacy? Will this make the boat go faster? It is absolutely all aligned. So no, you're spot on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
give a few away.
We are going to give some boats away, yes, and to those who won last week, they've been in the mail, so you should be getting them soon. And let's see who win. In order to win, you have to comment because this picks out of who's in the chat. So I don't make the rules here. This is how it works. Okay, let's see who's gonna win.
Was I in the chat? Because you won last time.
Let's see. Golly, it's just spinning. Maybe I'm supposed to hit the...
Everyone wins.
No, it's slowing down now. Maybe they changed it. Before I didn't have to hit it twice. We're like on the edge of our seats.
Who was that?
KDJ.
KDJ. Congratulations, KDJ.
Woo-hoo!
So for the winners, the easiest thing to do is to go to selfdirected.info and opt in. And when you text me, because my phone number is right there, when you text me, just please note that you have won won a boat, and we'll make sure we get it to you. And please also provide your address so we can send it to you.
Yes, we absolutely need to know where to send it. So there's that. Okay, now I'm going to go back through here, Donnell. If you could help me, though, go into the comments and pick them today. That would be super helpful for me.
No problem. So I think we're actually pretty good. There was the calculator question that I made sure that I stuck on to. So it was, I want to contribute $500 a month, starting off with a lump sum. And so I'll hold on to that. Other than that, though, I believe we're pretty good on questions. Everything else was comments. There's a mortgage calculator with Chase, and comment around that. But as far as questions, I think we're good.
Oh, okay. Keisha, yes, you can set up an appointment. You just go to the calendar and set up the appointment. And here is where you can. Oh man, I don't know how long I can last here because I'm really struggling right now. Is this it? No. Here it is. No. Here, just go here. Go here. It's going to take you to the Velocity Banking Worksheet, and also just take the live off. Selfdirected.info is where you find the quickest access to the
Calendar's
calendar.
in the top right corner. And I think if we just jump into that question, if I'm not mistaken, I think we are good on questions. So I think that's the last one. So it's $500 a month, $500 a month, starting off with a lump sum of $3,000 to $5,000. So crypto crazy. How old are you? I can pick an age. But if you kind of comment back how old you actually are, but I will kind of jump into the calculator and I will assume you are 35. So 35, $500 a month, and with a lump sum of somewhere between 3 and 5,000. And it's actually, let's see, hold on. Oh, I'll leave the 36 up. So 36. You are now 36, okay. Crypto crazy. 36, and with a lump sum of 3 to 5,000, I'll pick the 5,000. And remember, this calculator will assume that you can that you will be splitting that 5,000 between year 1 and year 2. So at $500 a month till age 65, we're talking about $95,000 tax free for the rest of your life. Again, 36 to age 65. $5,000 with a lump sum, 25 in year 1, 25 in year 2. We're talking about $95,000 tax free. And that $95,000 is because you have a liquid cash value of about $911,000. This income is directly correlated to the amount of cash value you have. What this is saying is you can take a distribution of somewhere around 10%. Because your $911,000 is actually making closer to 12, 13. So in essence, what's happening here is you're living off the interest. Because your $911,000 is making 12% and you're taking a distribution of 10, there's not a concern here of you running out of money because you're basically living off the interest. And in addition, there's a death benefit, meaning there's a life insurance that is initially purchased off that $500 a month in that lump sum of right around $306,000. So on day one, if something were to happen to you, your beneficiaries would receive $306,000. And then if you live to that ripe old age of 65 and beyond, we're talking about $1.8 million in death benefit. And that includes all of the cash value that you didn't use, plus the life insurance that you originally approved for, plus its growth, and you group those two together, and that is your death benefit, and that's where the 1.86 comes into play. And again, if you would apply the same dollar amount into a traditional IRA or 401k, even though I call this comparable, the amount of income that you're able to achieve out of an IRA or 401k based off the 4% rule pales in comparison to what you can do inside of a vehicle like this. This is 3 times what you would be able to do inside of a traditional retirement account. And that is that.
All right. Here we are. Okay, we're back. All right. Well, I think that's probably all I've got before I'm just up here. Can't see the screen at all. So
Let's take it home, sweetheart.
yeah, time is the most valuable asset that we all have, and we appreciate you guys spending your time with us. Of course, we definitely have been trying to keep these shorter so that we're, I guess, just being more mindful of the time that you're spending here with us. So we thank you guys so much for tuning in and for sharing. We see all of that stuff, and all the love really means so much to us, and it helps us grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And our mantra is, if you didn't come from a wealthy family,
You can make sure a wealthy family comes from you.
so stay focused
Stay protected.
and stay tuned.
Stay connected.
I'm Angelique,
And I'm Donnell.
and our goal is to help you.
Get self-directed.
If you haven't grabbed our free resources, then grab them now, and then we will see you back on Sunday.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Before we go there, we will see everybody on Sunday.
Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed.
Yep.
Record
Real
scratch.
quick. Sorry about that, because I think this is important as well. This next week is going to look a little bit different. I've got some emergencies that I need to handle over the next week. So for those of you who are on my calendar for Monday and Tuesday, I will have to make some adjustments. So I will be reaching out to you individually. If I can pull you in earlier, I will make the time to pull you in earlier. But if not, we may have to reschedule for a different time. And you may have noticed, if you've tried to get on my calendar, that next week is already booked. And it's not because I don't have the availability. It's because I won't be in town to be able to have these conversations. So my ask is that you bear with me for about a week. We may not be on next Wednesday, but we will be on this coming Sunday, and we should be back the following Sunday, barring everything goes the way it's supposed to go. So again, on Monday and Tuesday, you will see some adjustments to my calendar. So those of you who are already booked for Monday and Tuesday, expect me to be reaching out to you to try to pull you in earlier. But if not, we may need to reschedule. And then as I mentioned, I know it looks like my calendar is booked, but it's mainly because I'm not available next week, and we'll be back on Sunday. So my bad. I meant to do that earlier. My apologies for stopping mid outro.
We'll just roll it again. So that's what we'll do. If you haven't got the free resources, you can definitely grab them here. And if you have questions, and we are slow getting back to you right now, I just want to say this part too.
Yeah, you're right.
Our plate is just so full this week, and it's just us right now. So we're doing our best to get all these things done, and with the family emergencies that have come up and for next week. And so we just have to navigate through all of that. So just hang in there with us, guys, and be patient. And then in a week or so, we'll be right back to our normal. Sweet.
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to roll it one more time. Thanks, guys. And we will see you on Sunday. Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books.
But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you
Get self-directed.